Our 2022-2023 season previews continue yet again with the St. Louis Blues this time around. A team that I was just horribly wrong of where I thought they were going to place. I literally thought this team was going to be a really bad team this coming season. I didn't see them having that exciting of a roster, and I was worried a little bit with the Colorado things going on. I actually had this team finishing 7th in their division. That went amazing for me, didn't it? That went absolutely incredible. And it really makes me look stupid about the St. Louis Blues team. And I apologize to Blues fans. But anyways, let's take a look at last season, which reductantly proved me wrong. They went 49, 22, and 11 for 109 points. They scored 311 goals and only let in 242. And they lost in round 2 against the Colorado Avalanche. A hard-fought round 2 loss there, definitely. Your leading scorer was Vladimir Tarasenko, who had 34 goals, 48 assists for 82 points. And your goalie who played the most games, it was kind of close between him and Binnington, but it was Ville Husso with a 25-7-6 record with a 2.56 goals against average. Obviously, the Blues had a great season, a season that saw many more people believe in this team, including myself, and I was clearly wrong about where I had this Blues team standing heading into last season, and I'm kind of glad I was, because this team was actually really enjoyable to watch this past year. But on the other hand, there was a pretty eventful offseason which saw some of their biggest players leave the core. David Perron, Tyler Bozak, Ville Husso, Dakota Joshua, and Charlie Lindgren are your biggest ones. Obviously, Perron was a really solid top 6 forward. They couldn't keep him around, and they never offered him a contract anyways. Bozak was kind of just that third line, fourth line center. Really wasn't that much. Ville Husso was obviously the goalie that showed some potential, but he was obviously traded over to Detroit because St. Louis didn't want to have to go through the problems of signing him. What I think might have happened is that they were going to try and sign David Perron, and then they realized they didn't have the cap space, but I don't know why they wouldn't offer him a contract in the first place and see if he accepts it, but whatever. Joshua and Lindgren were obviously some depth players. Lindgren obviously led the Thunderbirds to the AHL championship, so obviously that is something you do got to keep in mind. Your acquisitions are Thomas Greiss, Matthew Highmore, and Nola Chari. So those are 3 notable players that obviously Greiss will likely be the backup goaltender. Highmore and Achari will likely be bottom 6 type players, which isn't bad. It's not bad. It's never bad to improve the depth. Not at all, and I think it's a good signing nonetheless. You look at your projected lineup here for your St. Louis Blues. Your top 6 features Brandon Saad, Ryan O'Reilly, and Vladimir Tarasenko. Then you have Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, and Jordan Kyrou. Obviously, it has some older people on this top 6, but there is some younger guys too, like Kyrou and Thomas have really shown some promise, and they definitely look good heading into next season. They're one of the 2 players, or 2 of the 6 players in that top 6. I don't know why I'm saying one of the 2. That is looking really solid for them. Obviously, Buchnevich may play first line over Saad. I'm not entirely too sure. O'Reilly is obviously the captain, and Tarasenko looks like he is here to stay within St. Louis at this point, and it looks like he's going to keep on putting up more and more and more goals for this St. Louis Blues team. You look at your bottom 6 here. You have Ivan Barbashev, Braden Shen, and Alexei Toropchenko, who will actually be out for some time this coming season. Then you have Klim Kostin, Nola Chari, and Matthew Highmore. Then for some extra players, you have Jake Neighbors, Logan Brown, and Nathan Walker. Obviously, Neighbors is the wild card factor there, because Neighbors is one of the Blues' up-and-coming top prospects. In the Hockey News' rankings, he's ranked 2nd in their top prospects. So I definitely think that Neighbors could take a shot in the NHL this coming season and maybe potentially get a third-line type role off the gate. Maybe if he does well in camp, he potentially could very well make it. But we'll see. We'll definitely see what's coming there for Jake Neighbors. But obviously a very solid bottom 6. You got some good guys in there like Highmore, Barbashev, and Shen as well. They look very solid. Very solid bottom 6 there as well. You look at your defense, you have Torrey Krug, Justin Falk on your first pairing. Then you have Nick Leddy and Colton Parayko on your second pairing. Then you have Scott Perunovich and Robert Bortuzzo on your third pairing. Then you have Mikkola and Scandella as some extra defenders there as well. Now, you could argue that Mikkola or Scandella goes over Perunovich for that third pairing spot. But I thought Brnovich showed some promising signs when he played with St. Louis this past season. I thought he looked very good, and I think he definitely will have the potential to get a solid role with the St. Louis Blues 100%, and I think it is going to be very interesting to see what he is going to do. But overall, I like that defense. Krug and Falk, your dynamic first pairing. You have a pretty solid second pairing there in Leddy and Parayko. I like it overall. Very solid pairing numbers there. Definitely a solid defense. And your goaltending is obviously Jordan Binnington and Thomas Greiss. Then you have Colton Ellis as your third-string goaltender, but I've seen many other goalies get thrown around in the mix there for that third-string spot. So really, it's up for grabs, to be honest. I mean, any other goalie could really overtake that. You could argue Josh Hofer, who's looking like one of the best prospects in net for the Blues right now. So we'll see. But obviously there, that tandem is not too bad. I've had my doubts about Jordan Binnington in the past. I've said that, I mean, his contract's overrated, and I know people have also said that he is a one-hit wonder. He's not that bad of a goalie that people may make him out to be. But we'll see what he can do without a solid backup behind him and Ville Husso. No disrespect to Greiss, but I mean, Greiss is really at the point of it in his career where he's not a starter anymore. And he is a good goaltender. I won't deny that. I remember the runs in 2020 with the Islanders, but definitely not a starter caliber goaltender at this point in his career. Your biggest questions: how will the tandem do? That's obviously what I asked with Ville Husso, leaving this and the doubts towards Jordan Binnington and Thomas Greiss, the looming questions there. Does this tandem hold together? I mean, honestly, you can make a case for yes. You can make a case for no. I definitely think it could go either way, but I think the Blues are fine, in my opinion. I think Binnington's a solid starting goaltender. Greiss may get a little bit sketchy at times, but I think he still is a solid goaltender as well. We'll just see how that handles out. And the other question is, will the depth pull through? Now, you got some depth players down here. And obviously, Toropchenko being injured, you're really going to have to rely on that left or that right wing side to really start producing some bottom six or secondary scoring points. I think the depth will definitely pull through. I like some of the guys that they have coming up. Logan Brown's a solid depth center. Jake Neighbors could potentially play a wild card role there, as I mentioned earlier. He definitely is looking like an interesting player there, and I think he could do very solid with the St. Louis Blues. Overall, I think the depth will definitely pull through. This is a good team with some solid depth, and they can definitely fight through the fire. You look at your point-o-meter here, according to the Hockey News' fantasy guide. Sorry for the glare. You have Vladimir Tarasenko leading the way with 75 points. You have Jordan Kyrou in second with 70. Then you have Robert Thomas in third with 68. Buchnevich in fourth with 67. And then you round out the top five with Braden Shen at 65. Obviously there, Tarasenko leading the way for the team. Kyrou, they have him at 70 points. I think you could get 80 to 85 this coming season. I think Kyrou could definitely push to get those numbers with the St. Louis Blues. And I would love to see it. I'm not denying it at all. I would love to see that happen. And I think he's definitely a really good young player, and he may have a big future ahead of him, 100%. Your sleeper or your bust is actually Ivan Barbashev. Now, Ivan Barbashev was one of the 9 Blues with at least 20 goals, but he scored on a 23.4% on his shots, meaning he's likely to regress. He was in the bottom 6 by the end of the playoffs. Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas are much better bets. Obviously, Barbashev's likely taking on a third-line role with the St. Louis Blues with guys like Brandon Saad and Pavel Buchnevich above him. Unless a freak injury happens, Barbashev may not get some top 6 time, or not as much as we maybe have expected him to. But I still think he's a solid player. He may not score 20 goals again, but I think he could get probably 10 to 15 at most. And I think he's still a solid bottom 6 forward. And they're definitely right. Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas are definitely better bets when it comes to fantasy meters and guides and stuff like that. But definitely Barbashev's still a solid player. Your cup odds are 23 to 1 according to the Hockey News' yearbook. Obviously there, that is pretty interesting number, must I say. Moving on to your brass, the Blues ownership led by Tom Stillman has given GM Doug Armstrong the green light to spend the cap, ceiling to maximize the results. Armstrong begins his 12th season as GM and has had one of the more successful tenures in that time frame. Craig Berube, as a player's coach who is respected in the dressing room, enters his first full season after guiding the franchise to its first cup in 2019. From top to bottom, the Blues are blessed with experience and success. This is definitely an experienced team with some young forwards in it. The question is, though, are they really that cup team that we may think they're going to be? And that kind of leads on to my next question. Will they make the playoffs? I said yes in 2021. I said no in 2022 because I was an idiot. But this year, yeah, I'm saying definitely. They definitely do make the playoffs. The question really is now is how far do they go? They made the second round this past season. Do they go further than that? Do they try and push for a second Stanley Cup with kind of the same core? This is more or less the same team that won that cup in 2019 with a few tweaks to it. But obviously, we'll see. I think this team may have some underrated potential, and they maybe could surprise some people and may be a better team than people may think. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For us pros, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below. Excuse me if you are new. And anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.